Can we have a roll call?
Yes, Mayor Sproul,
Here.
President Brungard,
Same here.
Councilor Drebin. Here. Councilor Gilligan is excused. Councilor Goulart,
Present.
Councilor Newman,
Present.
Councilor Paulson.
Here.
You have 6 councilors present.
Thank you. Okay, the main order of business for tonight is to elect a chairman, what do they call them? Chairman and vice chair? Elaine, is that correct?
It is actually chairperson and vice chair.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And vice chair?
Yeah, vice chairperson, I believe.
Could you give us a brief description of what each one of those are going to be?
Yeah, the chairperson is the same or equivalent to what the mayor is. So the chairperson conducts the meetings and is responsible for signing any documents or the same types of things that a mayor would do. The vice chairperson is the person who is in charge if the chairperson is not able to attend the meeting.
Okay. Do I have any nominations for chairperson?
What are the terms for this? Are they set?
The terms are equal to city council terms. So as you are also the designated city council members, if one of you is ousted in an election, then, and you are chairperson, you're also taken out of the Urban Renewal Agency, and then you would have to re-elect a new chairperson.
So if somebody's put in as chairperson, if they were to run again and be reelected, they could be in, or are there elections for chairperson and vice chairperson every 2 years or?
Let me look at what we put in here. Doesn't say. I wrote these to mirror the requirements of planning commission. So on your planning commission, what are, like a planning commission chair, how is that done? Do you know?
By appointment.
Yeah, but how long is the planning commission chair's term?
No, not the planning commission.
See themselves, but their chair and.
That's what I said,
whatever
the
it
chair.
is, yeah.
Planning commission.
Because we didn't-
chair.
Because JJ was, sorry, I'm thinking budget committee, but
Yeah.
because we didn't make any decisions this year, but that was last year, right, that we voted. So I would assume it's more than 1 year, but
No, I think.
does it
that
go into new terms?
We voted JJ back in as chair and the secretary too.
Yeah, it's every year for budget.
Yeah.
We did.
Do we?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He was acting until we voted on him.
Right.
We had like 3
Okay.
hearings that month, so yeah, we did, I recall that.
Yeah.
I think that's just a hypothetical that may not apply, but I would definitely suggest picking somebody that may not be up for reelection in 6 months' time. That's my suggestion, so that takes me out of the game.
That was my thought too. Like, do we need to
Or
be
at least
voting
not
on?
for both positions, right? At least, at the very least.
And it does it have to be
Right.
council members?
Yeah. Well, the
Your mask is not on, Caitlin.
that means
Just turn it in the camera.
that means that there's only 2 people here that can do that.
If we want to follow that. yeah.
Follow that thing.
I was thinking of you, Kayla. I'm not even looking.
Technically, well, Lee's not here.
Um,
I say
you take the lead, I take the backup chair.
Or we throw
I'm
him under the
also-
bus and tell him he's gonna be president.
So, cause I'm also gonna do the,
Yes, exactly. That's what happens when you skip meetings.
the downtown association thing.
Yes.
How often are the meetings for this?
Well, they're all before the council meetings.
And we all
So
have
it's-
to be at all of them.
Yeah, so it's the same thing.
I'll be here anyways.
And what would my responsibilities be? Again?
Well,
I'm sorry.
you have to sign the documents if necessary. You have to chair the meetings. I would think that, and then you just keep things moving, I would imagine.
I guess,
Your lawyer signature is better than mine, just scribbled out a signature.
And in the first year or two, there are not many responsibilities because you don't start getting your tax increment revenues
okay,
for a while. And you don't have to have a meeting in front of every city council meeting if there's no business to discuss. So at least in the first year and a half or so, your meetings are fairly infrequent until you start having any budget meetings to develop a budget for when you're actually getting the tax increment revenues.
okay, and so will most of the meetings be at 6 p.m.? Okay,
Yeah,
because most courthouses I can get here in time.
If you take your term now, then you can say you did it and not have to deal with it later. But it's for responsibility later.
I did cross my mind.
And also, you can start out with it, and if your situation changes within the next year, you got and after the election,
We
you
can
can
always look at.
look
Okay.
at the differences.
Well, and we might want to mirror kind of how we elect the council president with something like this too, so that it's not just like, okay, now you're a counselor, you get to be it for 4 years. It's-
No, what I'm saying is that in January, you can,
Right, that's what I'm saying is if we figure out a way to kind of mirror, if what is defined isn't quite defined enough, then we could maybe
Like
model
how
it after what we already do for council.
So with council president, we do that nomination every other year.
yeah,
Regardless of if it turns out to be the same person that's nominated each time, it's an opportunity for somebody else to say, hey,
it's on the odd years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you can set it up for the first term is for just like council president, the next odd year, it'll roll over and change.
that would work. You would do the rest of this year in January, and then January of 2023.
Just the nomination would be each term
Right.
ending
Yeah,
January 2023.
I'm fine with whatever.
okay, then I guess we need a motion for that.
Yes.
We need a co-chair too, right?
Yeah, we do. Well, you're the only one that can be co-chair.
No,
That's present. We could throw Leah.
Christine said at least
Missing
one
a
of them
meeting.
should be somebody that's staying on, but it doesn't have to be both.
Well,
I can be co-chair
Okay.
if people want. I don't
Yeah.
mind that responsibility.
I'd like to nominate Kayla Paulson to the position of chairperson. Yeah, and Jim Drebin to the position of vice chairperson for the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency.
You want me, you want to say
Term
something
ending.
about the
Oh,
term?
with the term ending January 2023.
I second that.
All in favor?
I
I,
All opposed?
meant to say aye. Sorry. 'Cause
Are you overwhelmed?
All-
I'm so tired. It's been a long day.
All opposed? Nothing? Okay, motion passed. Kayla, I'm gonna pass the gavel to you.
You get the rest of the meeting.
You get the rest of the meeting.
Y'all didn't tell me that.
I offered to elect Lee or, nominate him and you didn't take that.
He's
So
not here.
exactly.
So I think
So we're
the
just at
next,
the additions and deletions.
Yeah. We're at number 6. We're at number 4.
So does anybody have anything to add or delete from the agenda? Nope, okay, moving on. Any citizen input on non-agenda items? All right, moving on. Action items, so the Urban Renewal District Plan and Report. Can I assume Elaine's gonna talk and explain this part?
I am.
Perfect.
I am going to share my screen. Since we are in a public meeting that is being streamed, you, no, come on. You unfortunately get to hear the whole Urban Renewal 101 again. But that way, if anybody is listening and they do not understand urban renewal, it will allow them to get up to speed and to understand what you are doing. So I will run through this very quickly because we don't have that much time. So the terminology is here. If someone is watching and they want to look at any of this PowerPoint in the future, they could contact the city and they could give them access to it. So we have all gone through these and I will explain them as we go. So we will talk about what the role of the agency is, what is urban renewal, give some background, briefly review financial capacity and the projects, and then have a potential motion for you to consider as the agency. The role of an agency in an urban renewal plan adoption is to review the plan and send it out for what's called the formal public review. The formal public review includes the Planning Commission review for conformance to the comprehensive plan, the letters to the taxing districts notifying them of your intent to consider adoption of a plan, a briefing to the county, and a city council hearing and vote. Urban renewal in Oregon is used as an economic development tool. It is unique in that it is a financing tool, but also has plans with projects. It is used to address blighting influences in areas of the city. It functions on increases in property tax revenues. It is not a new tax. So it takes money from the increases from the existing taxing districts, not from property taxpayers. It is used all over Oregon, and from this map you can see where it's used. And this map is actually a little outdated, so there are other cities that have been added to this. Why do cities use urban renewal? They use urban renewal because it is an additional funding source to allow them to complete much needed projects within their city where they do not have city general funds to be able to do those projects. Urban renewal provides a funding source to bridge the gap in being able to either do a project or not do a project. This is the proposed urban renewal boundary. As you can see, it is mostly your downtown. It goes down and captures some park area, and it captures the large undeveloped parcel just to the west of Locks Loop Road. This is a quick Urban Renewal 101. So as we all pay our property taxes, those taxes go to the regular taxing jurisdictions. Property taxes increase in Oregon for only two reasons: a 3% allowed increase every year, and an increase if you do substantial improvements or new construction on your property. When an urban renewal area is formed within a city, the increase in assessed value over the time that the urban renewal area is formed, the property taxes from that will be allocated to the urban renewal agency over the life of the urban renewal plan. That is only for those areas within the urban renewal area, so not for the city as a whole. And it is only that increase in property tax value from the time the area is established. This shows a different way of looking at that. The bar across the bottom shows what's called frozen base, which doesn't mean property taxes are frozen. It is a term that means that is the value of the property at the time an urban renewal area is formed. All of the taxing districts continue getting their taxes off of that value. The light blue shows the increase in incremental value. So the value above the value at the time it's frozen, and the property taxes from that go to the urban renewal agency until it expires. At that expiration date, all of the taxing districts will enjoy those increased property tax revenues. In This urban renewal area, there is a maximum indebtedness of $19,600,000. When you bring that back to 2021 or 2022 dollars, that is $11,800,000. What that actually means is the maximum indebtedness is that money over time. That money over time reduces in spending value because of inflation. So your spending value at the time that this plan, if it is adopted, would be $11,800,000. The money comes in slowly at first because it's typically just off of the 3% appreciation, and then comes in at a higher amount as the area grows. Blight is a precondition of an urban renewal area. It is typically under development or underutilization of property, like the big vacant parcel that's within your area, poor condition of buildings, and inadequacy of infrastructure, including streets and utilities. An urban renewal area functions off of an income source, which is that tax collection off of the increased value in the area. It has expenses, projects, programs, and administration. You do an annual budget every year, just like the city budget. It has a spending limit that's capped by that maximum indebtedness. So you may not spend any more than $19,600,000 within this area over the life of the area. This shows if an urban renewal plan is adopted, urban renewal will end up as a line item on every property bill within the city of Lafayette. So not just those properties within the urban renewal area, but every property bill. That is because of measures 5, 47, and 50 that put limitations on the governmental and education portions of property tax bills. This just shows a hypothetical property tax bill for the city of Lafayette. It shows if you have a property valued at $100,000 and the tax rate is 11.2973, you would be paying $1,129.73 for your property taxes. If an urban renewal area is not formed and that value goes up to $103,000 next year, you would pay a total of $1,163.62 for your property taxes. If this property is in the urban renewal area, that increase of the 3% goes to the urban renewal agency's pot of money. So the assessor has to do this calculation for every property within the urban renewal area and add up all of that amount of money that equals the increase, and then divide that equally among all properties within the city. And again, it doesn't increase their property tax bill, it just divides the taxes that they pay differently. You can see on this property tax bill, the property with urban renewal and the property without urban renewal pay the same amount of property taxes. I am going to skip that one. There are no new taxes due to the division of taxes for urban renewal. Schools are indirectly impacted by urban renewal, and there will be a line item on everybody's property tax bill if this is adopted by City Council. No bonds or local option levies are impacted by urban renewal. Urban renewal monies come from those taxing districts. They temporarily forego taxes on growth within the area. Many times that growth may not have occurred but for the projects that spurred it due to urban renewal funding. Again, schools are funded differently than regular property taxing jurisdictions. They are funded on a per pupil basis. This shows how that funding works. You can see it's very complicated, and those local property tax revenues are up here at the very top. They are just a component of this full state school fund. That state school fund is made up of general fund revenues, lottery funds, and other sources. The legislature does what's called backfill that state school fund to be able to allocate to the schools on their per pupil basis. There are limitations on urban renewal. You may only have 25% of your assessed value of your property in urban renewal or 25% of the acreage. Once you have an area, it may not be increased by more than 20% of the original plan acreage. The maximum indebtedness may not be increased by more than 20% of the original maximum indebtedness as indexed. There is a but for on that, which is it may be increased higher than that if 75% of the taxing district's permanent rate levy approve that increase. The projects that are proposed within your urban renewal plan are business development assistance. So technical assistance, incentives for removal of blight, matching storefront grant program, matching business loans, and land acquisition from willing sellers only. This just shows a project that was done in Bandon using urban renewal under that type of program. For the housing, your program is just incentives for removal and abatement of blight, including demolition. You have a city identity program, which is district signage, wayfinding signage, community bulletin board, streetscape in the area, pedestrian safety upgrades, an e-vehicle charging station, and overall park improvements. These are just some projects in other cities that were done under city identity. Infrastructure includes general upgrades of your water, sewer, street, and storm improvements, extending water and service across Highway 99 to that vacant property, providing public restrooms, constructing a parking lot, improving parking conditions, improve side streets, doing looping utility lines, and burying overhead lines. There is a provision for acquisition and disposition. Again, that acquisition is from willing sellers only unless it is for a street for public right-of-way or for a utility line or something like that. There's also a program, a line item for administration and planning, just to do those administrative responsibilities of running an urban renewal area. A plan is adopted through public input. We have had numerous city council meetings to review this plan. We did a lengthy survey on your website to get input and got a lot of great input. It goes to the agency tonight. It is presented to the county. It goes a little step within that is it goes to all taxing districts for just their information. And if they decide they want a briefing, to provide a briefing. Goes to the Planning Commission for their review with conformance to your comprehensive plan, and then to the City Council for a hearing and vote. So this is the timeline. Those consult and confer letters we hope to send out tomorrow. The Planning Commission meeting is June 16th. A county briefing needs to be set up for June. City Council hearing July 14th, and City Council vote August 11th. This is a suggested motion. I suggest it just because there are so many steps in it. It just makes it easier for you to make that motion. But if you'd like, I can take that down and you can make a motion on your own. So at this point, any questions? And if you'd like me to stop sharing the screen, I can do that.
When would presentation to the county be made?
Sometime in June, we will have to, we need to get this step done, and then we contact the county and request a meeting. It can be anytime before your City Council hearing. So anytime between tomorrow and July 14th.
Thank you.
The consultant confer, you said those are letters, is that to the Planning Commission or to residents?
The consultant confer letters are to the taxing districts.
Okay.
That City Council hearing on July 14th has to be noticed to all citizens And I believe your staff has opted to just send a mailer out noticing that meeting to all addresses within your city.
Through the utility bill.
So
Ready,
is anybody gonna move for the,
ready for a motion?
yes,
All right, I move to forward the Lafayette Urban Renewal Plan to the Lafayette Planning Commission for their review of the plan's conformance to the Lafayette Comprehensive Plan, to the Yamhill County Commission for a briefing, and then to the Lafayette City Council for a public hearing and their review and vote on adoption.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? All right, it passes.
Congratulations, folks. We're moving forward.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
amazed you got through 38 slides in 13 minutes. That was great.
So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?